Good evening. Welcome to Let's Talk Maywood on Diversity Today Media. I am your host, Dr. Reggie Ratliff, and joining me right now is my co-laborer in the vineyard and my co-facilitator, investment advisor, and good person all around, Terrence Hollingsworth. Are you there, Terry?
What's up, Dr. Ratliff?
I'm
How
good.
are you today?
I'm good, man. I'm a little relieved that the stock market bounced back after a tumultuous fall yesterday, dropping over 400 points. Like, well, it's good because I could buy, can invest. And thank goodness it
Right?
a little bit today. So what's going
And
on in
it's
the
a
world?
tough market, ain't it? It's been tough all year.
It has. And then when you hear like we're still going through this inflationary period and, there's still this conversation about the Federal Reserve raising interest rate by 75 basis points, ultimately impacting the way we spend money. That's kind of a scary thought, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if it's scary as much as the first thing that we have to focus on is that Federal Reserve is saying that we need to get inflation down to 2%. And so they raise the rates, which generally will slow the economy. And what happened was, it didn't slow down as much as they wanted it to or expected it to. And so that's why the market sold off yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But, is the tricky part about it is this. You and I talked earlier. Intel is trading at a PE of 4. No, I'm sorry, 6. Macy's is trading at a PE of 4. Ford is trading at somewhere around between 3 and 6. Ford and Intel paying a dividend that's above 3%. And so, these are historically great companies. They have the cash to invest. And at some point, I think the market is going to come for these great companies. And the question becomes, do you sit on the sidelines or do you just go in and dollar cost average and just be committed to owning stock at these levels, knowing that probably, second half of next year that they're probably going to be higher? What are you doing, Dr. Ratliff?
I agree with you. I think that, ultimately the market will bounce back in the second half of next year. And I also think this is a tremendous opportunity, as you say, for Terry, for people to invest
Mm-hmm.
in this down market. This is where you should take your money out of your savings account. All right. Reallocate it from the real estate market. For those of you who think that real estate is the quickest path to wealth, and invest it in an Intel or a Ford, all right, so that you can get a greater return on investment. And the PE, the price earning ratio of 6 or 4 with a dividend of 3%, that's pretty good. You're not going to get that in the real estate market, at least not right now.
And it's historically low. I mean, people are the big institutions. They have to show performance every 12 months. So guess what they're doing? They're buying, different investments. They're buying some of the like the grocers and the healthcare companies. But investors with longer time horizon, there's great value here. And if you buy value, there's going to be a chance that you're going to make money over 3 to 5 years. Is historically proven. So, as I always say, get invested, get going.
Absolutely. And, we have this discussion every Thursday evening from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is an opportunity to pick Terry's brain. He is an expert in his field. He is licensed, he is certified, and he knows what he's talking about. And he's been in this market for, over 2 decades, and myself being a professor of economics and finance. So we certainly have a great team that we've been doing this since 2002. So join us on the conversation tomorrow on Thursday. If you're interested, send me an email at sratliff68@yahoo.com. You are more than welcome to join the conversation. We have fruitful conversations, fruitful discussions, an opportunity to debunk some myths that you see on social media, for example. And we'll, make that crooked straight, so to speak, and tell you the truth. And we will be transparent during these conversations. And we do value the input of those who participate in our discussions. So
Yeah.
join us.
So yeah, I don't want to get in the way. I'm a big fan of Mayor Thompson. I love what she's doing. I love her personality, and I'm just excited to hear what she's going to talk about. So I'll see you guys on Thursday. Reach out to Dr. Ratliff, and we'll have some fun with it. See ya.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Terry. I'll see you soon. So I'd like to introduce our guest, as Terry said, Mayor Thompson. She is the Honorable Mayor Katrina Thompson. Mayor Thompson was first elected as the 7th mayor of the village of Broadview in a 5-person race with 44% of the vote on April 4th, 2017, becoming the first African-American female mayor of the village of Broadview. In 2021, in that election against a former mayor, Mayor Thompson was elected to a second term with, check this out, 71% of the vote. So if my math served me correctly, 44 to 71% is what, a 27% increase? So that's pretty impressive when you think about it. As Mayor Thompson has fully embraced the power of partnership and alliance building with ordinary citizens, as well as major internal, the people in the community, the families, constituents, children, as well as the external stakeholders, the surrounding communities, Maywood and Westchester and Melrose Park, including the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois. And in that spirit of collaboration, Mayor Thompson has committed both her time and energy to serving the community of Broadview. Mayor Thompson is promoting and creating unity, no question about it. She is aiming to develop a vibrant local economy of thriving businesses. Mayor Thompson is working to build a strong and safe neighborhood, and she is seeking to create a greener Broadview. Just a couple of the initiatives that she's been able to accomplish through her agenda: the stability of Broadview sales tax base, investing in Broadview Street, alley improvements, and other infrastructure projects, conservative village budgeting to protect taxpayers' wallets, and managing the COVID-19 pandemic. We all remember that. The pandemic, assuring that sufficient testing, vaccine distribution, and small business financial support is available in the village of Broadview. Madam Thompson received a Bachelor of Arts degree in Organizational Management from Concordia University in River Forest and a Master of Arts degree in Training and Development from Roosevelt University in Chicago. Quite a resume, I should say, but that just simply shows that Mayor Katrina Thompson is a person of action. She is a doer and not just a talker. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on the Honorable Mayor Katrina Thompson. Mayor Thompson.
Hi, Dr. Ratliff. How are you?
I'm well, my sister. How are you?
I am doing wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you for taking time from your extremely busy schedule, I'm sure, to join us this evening. We're glad to have you on this podcast tonight.
Thank you for the invite, and I'm excited to have the conversation with you, and let's just see where it goes.
All right. Here we are on Let's Talk Maywood. You know, I'd like to get started. You know, you were raised in Inglewood, California. Is that correct?
That is correct.
We want to talk about your journey. All right. So my first question is, how is a sister from the West Coast, how did you wind up in the state of Illinois here during your growing up?
So you heard of the statement called bet on yourself.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I decided to take a bet and a risk on myself. With $300, I moved to Chicago. If it didn't work out, I was moving back to California because I had a job there. I was moving back, and in 30 days, I secured a position working in healthcare industry, and the rest is really history. So leaving behind my brother Ronald, who's still in California, that's actually in transition to leave the state, and then my sister.
Wow.
So I left them behind.
Wow. But that's okay, though, because you didn't forget about them, though, right?
Oh, never.
Yes. You move forward. You say you took a risk, but I say you made an investment. And, you know, in investment talk, you got a great return on that investment, I would say.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Awesome. Well, the state of Illinois is very fortunate to have you in the presence. And I want to talk a little bit about your journey as well as your career. You started to get into, collaboration. You pursued and achieved your degrees, your bachelor's and your master's. But tell the audience what the motivation was behind going into, just when we met, working with the Park District and how you became executive director. What was what was the motivation behind that career change?
So when I had my daughter, the park district didn't have programs for toddlers.
Mm.
So that was my motivation. And, so I decided to volunteer my time to tutor kids in reading and math because I'm passionate about education and reading. And from there, when I started tutoring, I saw some dysfunction internal. So the only way that you can really make great impact is when you look at policies from a legislative situation to make change. And so I decided to run for the Park District Board of Commissioners. And that was a 5-person race. And even in that race, I won by 47% of the votes to be for 5 of us ran, but it was for 1 seat.
Wow.
And I secured the seat. And so as we talking about policies and executing plans and how we can develop recreational programs to be inclusive to everyone in Broadview, because we all desire recreation from 0 to 100, or if you live past 100, we desire that recreation. And I just didn't feel that at that time, the community didn't offer that. I grew up in a community where we had the YMCA.
Mm-hmm.
We had programs all the time. So it was like, now I'm not a kid, but now I'm paying taxes. Right. So I just shifted my thought process on how I could advocate resources to bring our park district to be a more viable recreational opportunity for the people that live in Broadview.
So as you started to become more engaged, more involved with, the park district and looking at it from a legislative standpoint, did they offer you the position of executive director, or is that just something you decided to move in that direction?
No. So at the time, the director at the time had resigned, and we didn't know what the board was going to do because I was still on the board. And so we posted the position, but the only way that I could apply for the position, I had to resign from my post as a commissioner. And so I just took a risk to apply for the position, but I resigned from being elected. From an elected official to appointed official.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, the board saw fit that was the best choice to make. And we had a good run under my leadership with the park district. We built relationships with the village of Maywood, and we offered opportunities, not just for Broadview, for those that we touched our neighboring communities with.
You just touched on, the village of Maywood. If you recall, I have a nonprofit that's based in Maywood, and we were in the 200 building. You came by from time to time, sharing wisdom and, participating in our programs. I know your experience extended even past that, even before you came mayor. So people only see the finished product,
right?
As they say, what's in that cup, but everybody can't drink from the content of that cup, right? Because you the one that went through it in your journey. So talk about even the successes and maybe challenges that you may have had even before you became mayor of Broadview as it relates to the village of Maywood. Not to say it was bad, but yeah.
It wasn't bad. Actually, it was what is it that we look for services in our community and how we could collaborate and partner. And so even as the executive director at the park district, that gave us an opportunity to say, okay, if we're going after certain funding, how come we can't be inclusive to our brothers and sisters in Maywood? And so the first partnership that we had that collaboration with was our urban community gardens. Mm-hmm. Maywood had 2 gardens, Broadview had 2 gardens, and we had the farmers market. Mm-hmm. We didn't have success in the farmers market only because we were all new and learning the curve and, being able to provide food stamp services for families that, didn't have the means to pay cash. So we ran into that type of thing. But the urban community gardens have been just a blessing as we talk about food deserts and not having access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And we wanted to get away from the stores that sold like junk food. And so we decided to partner with that, and we ended up securing a grant for about $47,000 to initiate this project. And so that was with Barbara Coles, mm-hmm. Dr. Hatchett from Loyola.
Yes.
I can't remember everybody that was in part of it, but it was all a good thing for us to do, to show that even though we are in 2 different communities, the dynamics are different and structured different, but we can deliver a good product that we could be proud of, and that is service our people. And that was the goal, is to service our people.
Absolutely. Dr. Lena Hatchett is a wonderful person, wonderful doctor, always community oriented with Loyola University. And Barbara Cole has been out there for decades, giving back to the community, the village of Maywood. And so, what I want to do is kind of move forward. All right. You are an advocate of collaboration. You know, even in the introduction, you push for, you know, internal stakeholders, external stakeholders through your training and knowledge and the execution of what you've done. Now, how did that help you? First of all, where did the vision, the motivation to run for mayor in the first place, in 2017 come in? And, you know, what was that about?
So it was, you know, over the course of the years, I've had some people saying you should run for mayor, but I just didn't think I was prepared to do, you know, to go from somebody nobody knows to become the mayor. And when the former mayor had ran into the term limits and got turned out of office, he came to me and asked me to run for the seat. I turned him down 3 times because I just, you know, I just didn't want to be bothered with people that didn't have a vision to move forward. And I went to my daughter, Sydney, and I asked her, what do you think about me running for mayor? And she said, this was the year she was graduating from high school. And she said, you like helping and serving people, go for it because I'm not going to be here. Because she was going away to college. And that was my cue to go forward with helping the community out. So I wanted to be impactful. I wanted to be intentional. I wanted people to be able to trust me with transparency and honesty and be upfront with them, but also be very blunt with them when it came to making hard decisions and why we have to make these decisions, and including the community in those decisions that we have to make. Because one thing that I've learned about serving in the Black community, most of the times we just give them the information and we expect them to go along, to get along, to be yes people. But I never visioned people to be a yes person. I wanted them to be educated and informed on the legislations that impact them in Broadview. So it's real simple for me. Everything that I look at is what's best for Broadview. I don't care who brings it to me, how it comes, but it's what's best for Broadview. And if it's not best for Broadview, then it's not best for my community.
All right, now, love that. As an African American, the first female African American in Broadview history, that's something to be proud of. And with that, you know, you've accomplished a lot. You know, I've only named a couple things that you have done, you know, in your time in office. What does that mean for the Black community, the Black population, in terms of, you know, your vision, your initiatives that you have in place and those that are to come? You know, how does that look?
So for me, it's real simple. You know, when I look at Black leadership, and I'm not just talking about my other elected Black colleagues, I'm talking about just leadership, period. And so when I look at leadership, it's like, how can we be the best of the best? When you look at our ancestors and like even 50 years ago, the struggles that we have, and we still continue to have the same struggles, but we have the best infrastructure with Black elected officials at the table that can make key decisions within our communities. And we lack that. And I always question, why do we lack decisions on what's best for our people? We need to be inclusive to all people, but especially to Black issues that that we still are, you know, like social justice, injustices in police reform. You know, these are real issues that impact our community. Most people don't understand racial profiling because they don't look like us. And so we don't expect them to understand our issues, but we have to stand together when we talk about these hard issues and how we overcome and how we continue to move the dial forward, and not be prideful and boastful or, you know, try to, you know, have an ego. It's just what's best for people. And we are included in that people. We should be teaching Black history in our education in the schools. We should
Amen.
That's a part of American history. But yes, it is a hard conversation for those that don't look like us to teach it, because now it's, I mean, I could just envision that it would make them feel like they are racist and they didn't grow up like that. But they've got to teach a doctrine that they don't even fully understand because it has not been taught to even them.
Right.
We have to embrace that. That's why in Broadview, we embrace Juneteenth. So we have an opportunity to teach the culture and how we get past the hurt and the pain together and not in silos.
That's powerful, Mayor. I love that. Are the demographics in Broadview changing like they're changing in Maywood?
So the demographics is changing throughout the state. If you just look at the dynamics of the state and how we look at population. So we still are about 74% Black. Okay. And with Latinos or Latinx, it's still about maybe 10 to 12%.
Okay. Okay. Little more African Americans than in Maywood, but it's like you said, the demographics are changing in the state of Illinois, even nationwide for that matter. So when we
So
continue to
we
move
have to
forward.
be inclusive to all cultures. So
Hmm.
we have to embrace all cultures.
We do.
But
Absolutely.
specifically, we should be very proud to be Black. I say it, I'm Black and I'm proud.
Black
And
and
I
I'm proud.
say it unapologetically.
Hmm.
I say it because I have a culture, I
Hmm.
have a history. I know what my grandparents and my great grandparents and my ancestors that came before me, what they went through, so that I could be where I am today, the first African American woman elected mayor in this town. So I
Yes.
know what that looks like, and I know what that feel like, and I'm proud to be Black. I'm proud of the culture. I'm proud of everything that we have overcome
Right.
to where we are today because we have opportunities.
You talked about Juneteenth, and that is definitely something to be proud of. In addition to you being the first African American female to win an election in the village of Broadview, you are in the history books, and thanks to those who paved the way for you to be in that position to run and win, you're actually blazing the trail for future Katrina Thompsons. As far as mayor or and beyond, right?
Yeah, so I just want to add this as it relates to Juneteenth. So when we got into the George Floyd murder, right?
Hmm.
And so we start talking about injustices in the police and the indiscriminable things that takes place. And the village of Broadview was the first in the state of Illinois to make Juneteenth a paid holiday for municipal employees, for at least our town. And so
Awesome.
we was first in the state and we was first in the county. And so that was huge for us because we took the first step. And then after we announced that we was gonna celebrate Juneteenth as a paid holiday for our municipal employees, and then the county came, then the state, and then I think President Biden made it a legal
Hmm.
holiday.
Absolutely. Did you receive much resistance when you moved forward with that initiative for Juneteenth?
No, so when I brought it before the board, it was just the time was right, and it was time for us to start having these hard conversations and talk about what it meant to our community as it relates to um, what Juneteenth means and what it is to us today. And a lot of people, what was so profound to me is that even a lot of Black folks didn't even know what Juneteenth was, had never heard of it. And this is American history on where we come from. And so that was mind boggling to me.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But I'm glad that you woke up the masses and just taught, what it meant and how we can move forward and just how it allow it to grow and educate and empower more of our people. But like you said, being inclusive, but not forget where we come from.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Let's talk about economic development. You've been doing a lot, as mayor of the village of Broadview. Can you tell us about a few of the initiatives or accomplishments that you've gained from
So,
economic standpoint?
so when we talk about economic development, it's inclusive to everything as how we look at housing, how we look at public safety, how we look at bringing businesses to town, and how we look at our infrastructure. Because if you want a lucrative business to come, they have to be able to see that we have a plan in place. So when I first got into office, by me having the opportunity to do some economic development in the city for the nonprofit that I worked for, that allowed me to, bring that talent and that skill set to Broadview. And so when I first got in office, the leadership, and I'm talking about the department heads, we got together and we came up with a plan. And then that plan was we put in the plan like capital projects, like what is going to be um, progressive for us. And so infrastructure was a big deal for us, like replacing our alleys, our water mains, where businesses, can have a viable business, but don't have to worry about, bumpy streets or they can't receive deliveries and just the day-to-day stuff that goes on with development. And so once we start earmarking funds for that and we just start putting our money where our mouth was. You got to spend money to make money, and you got to have processes in place. So we put those processes in place by replacing our infrastructure, which is our water mains and our street infrastructure and our alley infrastructure. And then we start looking at what businesses could we bring that was vacant in the industrial corridor,
Hmm.
because that's our biggest base for our stakeholders. And so we start, reaching out to who needed warehouse space.
Hmm.
So we start looking at what that looked like. And I'm happy to say that we have no vacant warehouse space in Broadview. We
That's
have a
so
couple of that's for sale, but they got projects in line for even that space. So now our target for the economics is to move into our commercial corridor, and that's our Roosevelt corridor from 25th Avenue down to 9th Avenue, and what that looked like for us. So we decided to, as we bring new businesses online, we have to accommodate parking because we're landlocked and we can't do anything else. But we have to be mindful that we have residents that live in residential areas. And if we get this afflux of parking where they can't even have visitors come visit them because there's no parking. So we restructured our municipal parking lots and we put EV charging. We prepare to receive EV charging conduits in place so that we can accommodate even those that's driving electric vehicles. So we have to be visionaries on what that look like for us. So we got a couple of projects that's going to be coming online. I'm anticipating by the end of the year, like we got the View Restaurant. That's
nice.
at 17th and Roosevelt Road. We got the Red Door that's coming online. We got cannabis retail that's coming on the Roosevelt Road. And then we holding our stakeholders, our business stakeholders accountable to like how they reface their businesses to make it attractive to be there in the Roosevelt corridor because we are 2.2-mile radius in community size. We look into where people can, if they don't want to drive, if they live in Broadview, they don't have to drive their vehicle. They can walk. Ride their bikes and be able to park their bikes so that they can go have a meal or they can go shopping at the Walgreens. And as you know, most recently we put up our 72-unit senior housing development project. That's a big deal. That accommodates our senior population. Those that cannot afford to live or keep their homes, they have a safe place to live, but they have a place for our seniors where they can walk the corridor to get to the means that they need. If they need to pick up a prescription, they can go to Walgreens. If they want to go pick up a meal, they can go to Peace Restaurant or they can go to the new restaurant that's coming online. Or if they need transportation, we have access to transportation. We have our senior bus. We have the Proviso Township that can provide transportation to these people. So we have to be inclusive on what that look like and how we execute development and where we're going in the future. And not only that, when a business come to Broadview, we don't want them to be here 2 years or 5 years. Most of our business have been here 35 plus years. We're looking for longevity businesses that we can sustain and keep them in business.
Sustainability, you're talking about the vision for the future, what you've accomplished, currently, and just planning for the future, even beyond your time as mayor, which is, phenomenal. That's what strategic planning is all about,
right,
for the vision, right?
Right.
And so I commend you for that. But I also want to ask you this question. Your skills are not limited right now to being a mayor. You also have something, a business as well. Is that correct?
I do. I have a small business. It's a Marioni. It caters to feminine wellness, especially those that's aging and getting into premenopausal or menopausal stage that may be experiencing vaginal dryness or how to, keep their pH balance in control. And so as I tap into this, I've been researching it for over a year to make sure it's something that I know I can attest to and attach my name to, and it's my own business. And so I'm excited about it, and actually it's doing fairly well in the sales of, better than probably what I anticipated, but I know it's a need. But one thing I know that's for sure and for certain, most women looking for something. And when they can find that something to help with their intimacy or, their body changes, we have to be vulnerable to have these hard conversations. So a couple of weeks ago, I had partnered with Wanda Wade, and she did a hormonal change for women. It was such a phenomenal event because we started seeing, women start talking about their own bodies and how the changes take place as we age and get older. And we all talked about that, when we were young girls, this never was talked about.
Right.
So we are more open to have these conversations in our space of being a woman.
Miss Wanda Wade, she is the wife of Denard Wade with the Maywood Fire Department, I believe. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy of mine from Garfield Elementary and Proviso East High School. What up, Mr. and Mrs. Wade? So that's phenomenal that you're doing things as it relates to health, women's health, and taking care of our body. And so speaking of which, you are also an exerciser. You're a bike rider. I know you've had some events with some of the partners from Maywood and Forest Park, Mayor Brandon Johnson, Trustee Miguel Jones, Mayor Nathaniel Booker. Is that correct? That was recent?
So, yeah. So when we was in the pandemic and we was inside and couldn't do nothing. So I'm thinking like, what can we do? People can get outside and just be able to have conversation, but keep it in a safe space. And
Mhm.
so, and I had a bike. So I was like, I'm going to start a weekly bike ride.
All right.
And so I just put it out on social media that we're going to meet up here and we're going to ride. So we started off with like 4 riders, and then we got up to 25 riders
Mhm.
because now we riding for 1 hour, but we also exercising. And so Trustee Jones, Maywood Trustee Jones, we riding one Saturday, and he said, Mayor, what do you think about this idea? So he's like, I was thinking like we could do something like Tour de France. And I was like, okay, we call it Tour de Proviso.
Right.
And
Right.
so we start brainstorming. And so this is Tour de Proviso is a baby of Trustee Jones and myself. And he represents the village of Maywood. And so I pitched it to all the mayors to do something like tour. We made a date. It's the first Saturday in October every year. This is our 3rd year doing it. And last year we had about almost 350 riders that rode through the community. So it's real simple for us. When we talk about tourism, we want people to be able to come to our communities and say, yeah, we may have some things that's on the radar that may be not favorable, or, people with the rumor mills on saying that, but we are safe communities. We desire to have streets that's repaved and safe for us to travel on our bikes. We desire to have bike paths. We
Mhm.
desire to have recreation. We desire to live a healthy lifestyle. We desire to bring tourism to our communities that generate revenue for our community. So my thought process in Maywood, they have the Hampton House.
Right.
It's something that's so historical that, people from around the world will come see this museum.
Mhm.
And we can do that through tourism. So that was my thought process when we started planning and talking out loud on the opportunities that present to the Black community. Like, where are the opportunities that everybody else can get the opportunity, but we never can? So somebody
Mhm.
has to take the lead. So
Mhm.
kudos to Trustee Jones for, just bringing that idea to fruition. And now we 3 years in, and we have all these communities that's participating. So October 1st, we're going to be in the village of Riverside. So we all take turns on who's going to kind of control this beast, right?
Right.
And so we're going to tour the village of Riverside, and we're going to tour Brookfield Zoo. And at the end of the tour, and it's for all ages, at the end of the tour, we have different vendors from all the different communities that want to participate,
Nice.
have some business that they want to brand, or some nonprofit that they want to brand with resources that other communities can embrace. And we invite them to come to our communities to see what we have to offer. And we have a lot to offer. So we partnered with Visit Oak Park, who is our tourism bureau for this region. And so they kind of launching that to help us to do some of the heavy lifting for us mayors. So I'm grateful for that partnership. And it's just been amazing.
It's just 6 with your theme of collaboration, right? Partner and collaboration. That's good stuff. Do you stop at these routes like the Hampton? Um,
So it depends on what community we riding through. So like last year we did Broadview through Maywood through River Forest. Or we ended up in River Forest.
okay.
And so we look at different things that take place. So we always get ideas of what comes out of this, like, certain streets as we looking for routes, we want to make sure that the route is safe and
Right.
pothole free. So
Right.
people are safe on the bicycles, so that gives us the platform to say, okay, when funding becomes available, we need to be trying to fund to get Madison repaved,
Right.
because this is a bike tour route that we want to be able to share, or 17th, or wherever the need is. We want to, and I don't want to say that, Broadview should get all of the resources, but most certainly we want to be an advocate to support our local mayors, Mayor Booker, Mayor Harvey, Mayor Stecker in Westchester, our
Mhm.
colleagues that may need some support to get their roads repaved.
Absolutely. Well said. I just had one question that came to mind, Mayor Thompson. Um, was the village of Broadview recipients of the infrastructure bill? Were you able to take advantage of the funding that was signed by President Biden?
So that's a whole process.
Okay.
So some of the infrastructure we do qualify for some of the things. So we're actually entertaining parts of the infrastructure bill, and so we apply for every grant available.
I know that's right.
We do. We apply for in Broadview. We apply for every grant available because we have shovel-ready projects.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about funding and stuff like that, we've done the work. We've done the design and engineering plans, and that's what the funding entity want to look like. Like How much are we invested in? So
Right.
we'll put our money up so that when it's time to apply, we've done this work.
Right.
We just need to get to the end so that we can complete the project. And so we've been real fortunate and blessed from the state of Illinois and from federal dollars to receive these fundings so that we can do more. I mean, we've done all of our alleys in Broadview are completed. Some of our main water mains are completed. I mean, we still have work to do. We've done our water tower. We re maintenance and re painted that. So we do work intentionally. We work real hard to intentionally go after those dollars so that it's a relief on the taxpayer. And
Right.
we can see the work that's being done. I mean, any area of Broadview that you drive through today
Hmm.
is dust and pebble rocks everywhere.
Hmm.
And it is a nuisance to us. It's, you like, I just got my car washed,
Right.
but I'd rather be able to have a dusty car for 9 months, and
Hmm.
then I know everything else is going to be, we driving on a paved street. We got bike paths in place. We got like 25th is they doing this big construction project from 25th, and when you go, it's just rough road right now, but we're getting the work done and we're intentional, and I advocate for the things that we need that matter to Broadview that has been neglected for so long.
Right. You've been intentional, you've been proactive, you've been advocating, you've been partnering, you've been collaborating, you've been empowering, you've been enabling, and you've been educating. And I am certainly educated, as I'm sure those who are viewing this podcast are educated on the things that you've done. You've done phenomenal work, Mayor Thompson,
Thank you.
and I commend you. The audience commends you. We do thank you for again taking time because you have a lot of things going on, and it's all good. We want to just give you a few moments, a couple minutes to, give a final word, talk to your constituents, talk to the community about something that's maybe on your heart as we conclude this podcast. And the floor is yours, madam.
Well, thank you, Dr. Ratliff. So, for me, it's real simple. Everything that we do should be surrounded by love. And when we learn to love one another, even in our differences, you can see work being done. And so I just come from a place of being humble, being blessed, just grateful for opportunities that present themselves. But I always tell my residents when I talk to them, I love you. And that goes so far because there's so many people that don't even know what love is. And so once we start showing people what love is and we doing it in our actions, then that's when you see true transformation takes place within a community. At least that's what I believe. And so another initiative that we're working on is the cross community climate collaboration called C4. And so when I started getting into the environmental space, because no matter where we go in this township, you still got to breathe the air. We still want to have renewable energy in our communities. We still want to have EV charging station. We want to have air quality. We want to have trees in our community to reduce asthma. We want to have healthy homes to reduce lead for children under 6 or pregnant moms, right? And so I started, having these conversations with mayors, and Mayor Skaman from Oak Park, Mayor Aducci from River Forest got on board with my thought process, and we came up with the cross climate collaboration. We did a MOU signing for those that wanted to participate, and I am very pleased to say, as of today, we have 15 communities that's a part of this collaboration. So when we come out, we talk about coming out with a big stick and just swinging real hard. And I'm excited about, Mayor Harvey being on board, Mayor Booker being on board, because when we talk about resources in the environmental space, we are not at the table to have that conversation within our community and the people that we serve, but now we are. We impact the Black community, the Latino community, and the people that we serve within our respective communities. And so it's not just going one way, it's going all ways. And we collaborate with those communities that don't look like us, but they're willing to share their resources to help us get to the next level. So I'm really excited about that collaboration and what that space looked like for the environmental space. So yeah, I type into different things that's non-traditional for us when we talk about being in a Black community, but it's important that I do this intentional work, and I do it from a place of love and kind and being gentle with people and being open and being, number one key to me, my whole role is just to be a listener. because when I'm not talking and I'm listening, I'm getting the data and figuring out like, okay, I heard this person say this. How do I help them? Because if I'm helping them, I'm helping 500 more people. And so that's what love is about, collaboration and partnership. So I'm excited about the future of where Broadview is going. I have an all-woman board. We come from all ethnicities. We have Italian, we have Latino, we have African American, and we make decisions on what's best for the people that we serve in our town. So we have a very diverse board. I'm all about diversity and inclusion, and that's how we, move the needle to move forward, is taking love and being loving kind. I mean, it's just that simple.
Absolutely. Well said, Mayor Thompson. And I love how you put it, transformational, not just transactional. And that's what it's about. She being Mayor Thompson, I just pinned this pad on the pad, leadership of love. Because what is love? Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not brag. It does not boast. It is inclusive, not exclusive. 15 communities together, working together from different ethnicities. That, my friends, is defying love. Verb, an action word. And that is clearly what Mayor Katrina Thompson is, a leader of love. And we thank her for her time this evening. I feel the love just hearing her speak. And I hope you did as well tonight. I am Dr. Reggie Ratliff. Like us on Facebook. Tune in to us with us every week as we bring more positive people on our podcast so we can continue to move the masses as it relates to things taking place in our community. Please tune in. Thank you. Be safe and good night.